Well, it's been almost exactly 1 year since I dug into the underground project here around the place, and the fence and the gate and everything. And yeah, the grass is not quite healed up, but it'll be good by spring. The garden has had a good run. The tomatoes were 1 month late, but boy, they're here in spades, just barely in time. Sunflowers were the big event. But the upshot is that today, Wes from Quality Fence is going to be here in 15 minutes to put that closer on that gate system. And I'm excited because it feels good to have that gate in place. It doesn't feel bad to get out of the car and open it and get out of the car to close it, but it's going to be a huge convenience to be able to just drive out or open it with the phone or with the keypad or whatever seems most appropriate. So look at this, my friends. We had kind of a tense moment. Tell them about that template in your hand, Wes.
Well, the template that came with the operator is your bolt pattern. If you look, it looks like it's about 1.5 inches off.
But the bolt template that Greg gave me 9 months ago was right.
It was good, thankfully.
Man,
yeah.
Better, more good luck than good management. We'll take it.
It's gonna be a good day.
So one of the things about Quality Fence is they've got long-term relationships with their key employees. And Wes has been with these guys. How long you worked for these guys, Wes?
20 years in November.
Did you hear that? 20 years come November. He has evolved to where he handles all of the technical connections on their gates. And Greg told me, don't worry about it. You got enough conduits out here. You got enough loops and redundancy. Wes can make anything happen with what we've got. But 9 months is a long time to worry about that, and it is a great relief this morning to say, yeah. Wes said, okay, we'll just jump from here, but you could have run that. But no, it's great. So maybe we've used an extra 10 or 15 or 20 feet of wire, but everything is accessible and everything is going to work. Feeling better right now. Next up, he says, is to mess around with this mag lock. Get in there, get everything wired up, make sure all that's going to work, but I think he's not going to have any trouble. So what's going on here, Wes? You're bringing low voltage in to operate the mag?
Yes, I'm going to put, you can run it to 24 or 12 volts. So by jumpering your wires, I'm going to use a 12 volt application. 24 volt, you just do a different wiring diagram.
Okay,
so,
all right. And so nobody cares about low voltage, it doesn't energize the whole world, nobody's getting shocked.
No.
But it activates a magnet that holds like 1,200 pounds resistance or something?
Yes.
That's a lot.
It's amazing for such a small amount of voltage that,
yeah,
it's,
you get that much.
It's gonna mess your gate up before that.
Awesome, awesome.
Yeah. And what it does is it splits your power. So one side comes in, and once your gate's energized, it releases that power, releases your magnet, lets your gate open. So there's a slight delay, probably like a 1 second delay before your motor actually energizes.
Okay, you
so
give it the
relay,
command.
Yeah.
Boom, this releases.
Relay drops out, de-energizes your magnet, allows your gate to swing.
Because otherwise the motor's straining against 1,200 pounds out on the end of the world. Something's got to break.
And it would probably be the operator.
Yeah. So I hadn't actually buckled this down because I wasn't sure, but there's 2 roll pins in there and centering dowels, centering holes. See that right there, that right there. And so what he tells me is that gives a little bit of flex in this plate. So if the surfaces are not perfectly coplanar, would that be the way to describe it? You still get 100% engagement between the gate and the electromagnet when everything energizes. Looks like it's gonna work. What are you working on, Wes? Tell us what you got your hands in now.
These are photo eyes, and what they are, they're an entrapment device, and basically there's 2 of them. They go across your driveway, and there's a beam that goes between them, and if there's any kind of a pedestrian or a vehicle animal, whatever's in the middle of that beam, it's going to stop the gate and reverse it.
Okay.
So it's basically a safety device to protect people and the operation.
Okay, and it looks like we've got everything in place to receive that?
Yep, I think so. We've got the arm outriggers outside your gate. We should be good to go.
Awesome. So these are the arm outriggers he was talking about. And apparently they received those photo eyes. One on that side. And one on this side. Greg gave me these. He fabricated them in his own shop. But anyhow, they attach there. The line goes over to the other side to receive the voltage. Like that. So there's a little adjustment in those things so they can talk to each other.
Yeah, in case you get them a little bit out of line. This brand is amazing because they do have that swivel.
Oh, I see.
Other ones are just flush, so if you don't have them perfect, you have to fur it out.
Right.
This one you can go side to side, front to back.
That's nice.
Yes, very, very user friendly.
That's nice.
And
Nice.
then when we come back and energize it, we'll relight everything up.
Till they
It'll give you a blue light if it's good, and if there's something in the beam, it'll go to red.
Okay, so one guy can work back and forth and get them lined up, and
that'll help you troubleshoot. It's like, okay, if there's nothing in your drive and your photo eye is red,
problem.
then you know you've got a problem with your photo eye.
Good. Well, with the photo eyes hooked up with all the wires and the low voltage and the high voltage landed in the place they need to be to do the work, Wes says he's got a couple hours of wiring on his knees in the gravel. Boy, does that sound fun. But it's not raining, Wes, huh?
That's right. That's a good day.
All right, that's a good day. We're going to put this on time lapse and let it just look over your shoulder.
Perfect.
So clearly it's been a long process putting this gate up, replacing the one my dad put in 40 years ago, and people have asked me, what are you afraid of, Wadsworth? I mean, isn't this a little excessive? Well, here's the reality. There has not been one deer in my garden this summer. First time in years that we've not had real problems with those four-footed local residents hopping over the fence or slipping under the gate or worming their way into the property. And a lot of people have asked why you would put barbed wire on a fence. Well, if you look closely, you'll see that the wires at the top of this fence are not barbed at all. They're smooth wire. And then they are there just specifically to intimidate the deer from trying to jump over, regardless of how tasty everything inside this yard might smell when things get dry up on the hills. This is a good-natured man, and he's set up for anything. I've got a little illuminating light right here. I pulled a pipe, ran a pipe and pulled a string, and he said, sure, I'll hook that up. So we've got a low-voltage bulb that's going to shine on the gate and a little photo cell that's going to tell it when it's dark and when it's light. We hope it works. He says he's not having any trouble with it. So we got one curveball this afternoon, and that is that the keypad that has the camera in it is not going to fit inside of that H-beam. So I'm going to notch the H-beam so it goes back in there some distance. Fingers crossed, because I'd hate to have to clean up a mess. It needs to fit well enough to be caulkable, to my way of thinking. So I'm going to get it all laid out and then talk to Wes and make sure that I'm thinking of this right. The door's got to be able to open once it's in place. We've got this pad in the back that needs to make contact with the web to make it watertight. So more than just one or two things to think about. Wes has come a long way today. He's hooking up the operator arm from the operator to the gate. Talk to us, Wes. What do we need to know?
Okay, so operator, you're looking at about 125 wall material there. It's 1 by 2. This is a solid piece that goes inside there. This is going to attach to your gate.
So that's a weld clip right there that welds to the gate?
Yes.
Okay.
I'll be welding that right to there, somewhere on the operator.
Yep.
Right to there. It has set screws. I recommend stitch welding it once you get it in place, because nothing's ever going to move on you.
Yes.
So that way it's secure in case it gets stripped out or someone comes in and tries to alter it.
Just a good big tack right there on the top.
Yep, I just run a little drag weld across the top and lock it in there on both sides.
Yep.
Okay, now this go into here.
And that's the reference mark you put on there so that the geometry's working.
Yes, and then tighten these down.
So you're just snugging that up where you like it?
Get me to a place over here on the deal. And then we'll level this up.
So what we're looking at there is a fully closed position, anchored in on the operator, and that's where it's going to anchor on the gate. Man, they gave me good instructions. Greg dialed me in nice and tight on this. Awesome. And look at that, ladies and gentlemen. Wow. So he's tuning up the final aspects of that, and it's a geometry of where to attach the closer. The thing's powerful enough, you want it to come tight in both directions at the right time. I guess I got that right?
Yes. So what I'm doing right now before I finalize everything is I'm making sure all my geometry's right. I'm fully closed up against our mag lock over there, so we're fully energized. So I'm going to break this. I've marked this on the operator where we're going to be, right there. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to simulate the gate opening to a 90, and that's perfect.
Right back at the same spot.
Yep, and we're plumb. So what I'm going to do next is I'm going to skip weld across here to lock these joints in, and then weld around here to secure it to the gate.
Okay, so you're tacking them on there so nobody ever can mess with that.
Correct.
You like it on both sides, and that's where it attaches.
Yes, sir.
Bingo. What do you got there, Wes?
Okay, so this system is kind of unique, being so big that it is. A lot of operators are only operated off of 110 line voltage. This is actually ran off of batteries. The line voltage is only there to charge your batteries, so you can run AC or solar. Basically what these are is two 12-volt batteries that I'm going to wire in series to make 24 volts.
Okay.
So, and everything is wired for 24 volts. The motor's wired up for a 24 volt system.
Wow.
So, and the cool thing about this is if you lose city power,
yes,
you're still going to have 5 to 10 openings with your batteries, and then it'll sense your battery level. If you're getting low on voltage, it'll fail in the open position.
Oh, so you can always get out.
Or secured. So it's up to some sites.
Yeah.
They want it secured 24 hours a day, so if something fails, they want it to fail closed.
Yes.
Residents, like Scott's property, he's going to want it to fail in the open position so they can get out.
Yeah. Cool.
Once power comes back on, recharge the batteries back up enough, it'll return back to normal operation.
And how long do those batteries last in a residential setting like this?
Residential setting, typically I would say between 4 to 6 years.
Pretty good.
Not too bad.
Better than my truck.
Yes.
And not as expensive as my truck.
No.
Nice. Okay, I love it. I love it. So that's what they look like.
Yep, and I'll wire those in series, put those together, and then the next step is we'll get everything hooked up and then start setting limits.
Nice. All right, full speed ahead.
Now I want to set the limits.
The limit on the close and the limit on the open.
So I'll go set these. I'll just do it. And I move the gate operator arm.
Okay.
I'm gonna have to rotate over here. Hang on a second.
So you gave it the command to open.
Yeah, and what I'm doing now is I'm setting where I want that gate to stop.
Okay.
The target zone is at a 90.
Bam. It's supported on that little post, and it's close to a 90, yes?
Yeah.
And now you're sending it back the other way?
Yes, I'm going to teach you where to stop on the closed limit.
Okay, and to do that, you keep your finger on the trigger until it goes 0, and then when you take your finger off, it knows it's home.
I go up and then I'll hit the set close button right about 1 o'clock, right above it.
Okay. Bam.
Okay, then we're set.
Now it knows where it's at on the planet.
So what we can do now is we'll watch the normal operation swinging of the gate.
Okay. All right, now the magnet's got a hold of it. You got to pull harder than that to pull that post over, buddy.
Yeah.
1,200 pounds.
Yeah, I need to eat my Wheaties.
Yes, you do.
The next thing we'll do is I'll open up the gate. I'll have Scott go outside, and then when the gate starts closing, I'll have him interrupt the photo eye beam, and you'll see the gate stop and back itself off.
Awesome. Boy, that thing doesn't waste any time. So that's about the delay when we're coming out, and he walks across, breaks the beam, and it stops, and it goes back to the open position. I think with fire season right now, what I'm doing is technically against the law. This thing's throwing a lot of sparks. But I've got 5 gallons of water right here. I'm gonna stay and keep an eye on it for half an hour after I'm done, and the sparks are all landing on a gravel road. I think we're fine. So I've struggled for years with what to do with the short cords that come out of an electric power tool. What I've been doing lately is coiling them up and saving about 3 feet of the bitter end to pass through the coil to hold it. I think I like it. I'll let you know in more detail in a month or so. I'm drilling right into the edge of that web. That's not great. We'll rely on the caulking. Had to break off a fair amount. Pretty good. Little putty, little paint makes a fabricator what he ain't, right? I cut through 3 inches of 3/8 plate and reduced the diameter of that cutting wheel 1/2 inch on each side. 1 inch. Ground off 1 inch of diameter in 3 inches of 3/8 thick plate. Now this was a, I don't know what brand that is. Forney. That's a Forney disc. Let's try this Blue Fire, see if it does any better. Okay, the Blue Fire outlasted this Forney 2 to 1. I burned off about 1/4 inch on each side instead of 1/2 inch or whatever I told you. Way better. Blue Fire is the winner. I'm gonna give myself a B-. But it'll be great by the time it's done, or at least by the time it's painted. Well, we just had to go into the house, pull the router down where we could get at it, run a patch cord from the router using the same port that's going to service this machine out here at the street into the keypad, which was open inside the house, and configure, get it introduced to the system, get them speaking the same language, enter passcodes and all of that security folderol, make sure the intercom was working through the speakers and the camera in the keypad assembly while in the house, and then unhook it and come out here, assuming that the system's integrated, and now we can just plug it in and put it to work. Well, I can't close this project out without thanking Greg Reitman and Wes Johnson and the boys at Quality Fence for keeping me out of trouble on this project. I never would have made it without you. I owe you one. And I can't close this out without just telling you how great it feels that my wife doesn't have to get out of her little car anymore to drag that old gate open in the rain or in the snow or on a blistering summer day. She just doesn't have to go through that simply to get in and out of the property. Feels good to do something for that girl. It's a blessing in my life. Thanks for watching Essential Craftsman. Keep up the good work.